Hello everyone, it's Tana. Welcome back to the channel and another video for Scrappy Tails Crafts. Today we're working with, oh my gosh, I forgot the names of the stamp sets, but I will put them on the screen for you. I'm in the car doing my voiceover now that it's warm enough so I don't have these stamp sets with me. So I've already colored and pre-cut all my images, and let me just tell you, I love those tiny little pieces of furniture. They were so fun to create scenes with. I also love the I think it's called the rose trellis stamp set. That rose trellis is just beautiful. I did not get a chance to use it in this video, but I already have it colored, so I will be making a card with it. So for this first card, I'm just going to lay down a piece of snot tape and ink blend a simple background that can be a wall and a floor. So I have the ink colors up on the screen for you. I did it splotchy on purpose so I could mix two different colors in the wall color. So I went with a gray and a purple, I believe Twilight and Serenade. And then for the bottom, the floor, I went with Catherine Pooler's Blackjack. And it was a little dry, so you'll see me re-ink it in a second here. And of course, after I did that, it came out nice and dark. So after that dries, I'm going to use my largest oval nesting die, and I'm going to cut that out. And then I'm going to use my little quilting ruler here. It actually was longer, but one of the kids broke it, trying to use it as a drumstick. And I'm just drawing little 1/8 inch marks or lines all the way down vertically. And then I'll do some scattered lines horizontally, to make floorboards. So I just kind of staggered them every row. So after I did 4 rows of staggers, I went back and repeated the same pattern over again. And then I took a scrap piece of alcohol inked Yupo that I had in my stash, and I cut out a little oval to make a rug, and then used the smaller oval dies to draw, like, it's supposed to look like one of those braided rugs. And I used a gold gel pen to draw those ovals. And I had to let that dry because the Yupo, the shiny gel pen, took a while to dry on that. In the meantime, I will glue all my little tiny pieces of furniture down onto my scene. Now you'll see that those 2 little picture frames, I ended up taking my X-Acto blade to the inside to cut out the white pieces. That way you could see the wall through them like you were supposed to. Now I'm going to glue my rug down here, and then my little table. And I can't remember which sentiment I used here. We'll see it in a minute. I used my Lawn Fawn Hippo ink cube to stamp that out. Congratulations on your new home. So that's our main panel there for our card. Pop that up on foam tape, and I'm going to glue that and center it onto the card base, which is a gray card base. I think it's concrete gray. I'm not sure. And then I added some half pearls to the 4 corners. And here are 2 more mini slimline cards I did, because I couldn't just leave all the rest of that furniture untouched. I had to make 2 more cards. So for this second card here, we're going to use the other stamp set, and I used an embossing folder that I picked up when there were still A.C. Moore stores. And it looks like stone. So I made a stone wall, and I'm using the colors I listed there to kind of make different colors on the stone. And some of them were too yellow, the antique linen, and then when I brought in the frayed burlap, it was too green. I don't remember frayed burlap being so greenish. So I brought in a little bit of brown from Catherine Pooler, I think it was Over Coffee, and went over the entire thing afterwards to kind of tone down those green and yellow hues. Then I took a small window die from my stash and cut 2 of them out of the upper part of the panel. Glued a piece of acetate onto the back there. And while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm going to use a piece of pattern paper from the Not Too Shabby Dots for Spring paper pad. And I'm going to put that onto another card panel here. And that card panel is slightly smaller than the upper card panel because we're going to make a shaker out of those windows. Now I'm going to glue my window frames in there. Now for the window frames, I colored them with a piece of, I didn't color them. I inked up a piece of cardstock with pumice stone and then cut the window frames out of that. Now I'm going to take this park bench from the set and I'm going to cut all the legs off because we're going to turn it into a porch swing. Now I went to Rite Aid and I bought a cheap necklace to cut apart, and I picked this one specifically because it had all those little tiny chains hanging off the bottom. So I just took it apart and saved the jump rings that were holding all those chains onto the decorative part, and took the 4 longest ones. It doesn't matter if they're even because you can even them out when you hang it. If you don't want to do it this way, I'll show you an alternate item you can use in a second here. So here I'm finding the longest pieces, and then I'm going to take my 1/8 inch hole punch and I punch 4 holes, 2 in the top of the corners of the bench and 2 in the arms, 1 in each arm I should say. Then I took the jump rings that I had taken off and reattached them to part of the chain on the end, put them into the holes that I punched, and then close them back up. You could also use like a pokey tool to make your holes if you don't have an 1/8 inch craft punch. That will work too. I used to use that before I bought a 1/8 inch hole punch. Now I'm going to clip with little tiny clothespins the swing to the front panel so I can glue the chains onto the back. Since this is going to be a shaker, I lay down 2 layers of foam tape, but I'm just going to show you the first layer. But I do end up going back over it and adding 2 layers. So I had to, those chains were kind of funny to work with. Make yours longer if you can. I had to kind of finagle them into the glue and then put my piece of foam tape with glue on it over them. And then I put something really heavy onto it to let it dry so that my chains wouldn't come off. Now I'm going to put the rest of the foam tape on. And like I said, I do add 2 layers to make it double in height so I have room for my shaker bits. And I made the color of the pattern paper behind the window so it would match the pillows on my porch swing. I thought that would tie the card in nicely. And I'm also going to glue my swing. I thought about letting it swing back and forth, but with those chains, I didn't want it to be too heavy and break off. Here I'm showing you you can use metallic gold thread or any thread really instead of chains if you want for your porch swing. I'm going to glue all my pillows down, glue my little puppy sitting on the porch swing, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment for the inside of the panel. And this is going to be a birthday card, a birthday shaker. So I'm using my VersaFine Nocturne Claire Ink Morning Mist. And I can't remember what that sentiment says. I'm sorry, I should have brought the stamp sets out to the car with me. I did take the happy birthday stamp from the set. I can't speak. I took all the pads out of my Misty because I already had my foam tape on the panel. I don't recommend that. Stamp your sentiment before you do that. But it did work out. I was very careful. Stamped my happy birthday at the bottom of the panel. Added some powder to the sides of my foam tape so my shaker bits won't stick. And then I added some Nouveau confetti sequins, and there were also some clear seed beads in that bottle. And then some Jilly Bean from AC Moore clear hearts and stars. And that was it. I kept it simple with the shaker bits this time. I'm going to add glue to all that foam tape and then glue my panel onto the card panel, the back panel onto the front panel. I added some double-sided adhesive to the sheet that goes on the inside with the sentiment. And then when everything's dry on the front panel, I will add some Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to the entire thing and put it on a dark gray card base. And that's it. That's our card, guys. Hope you liked this month's video. Stay tuned for another new release coming out next month. Don't forget to check out Scrappy Tails on social media, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye for now, guys.